So today we're going to talk about what is empathy. And a lot of you have probably heard of sympathy before, but you may not have heard of empathy. Has anybody heard of what it means to be empathetic? Somebody? So we're going to talk about the difference. So when you think sympathy, you may think you feel sorry for someone or sorry for their situation, where empathy is a little bit different. It's more so putting yourself in their shoes. So we're going to work on generating responses or empathetic responses for our friends and our family members who are maybe going through something that is hard or difficult to understand. So the ability to understand and share the feelings of someone else is empathy. What's the difference between empathy and sympathy? So empathy is on the left and sympathy is on the right in this chart. So if we can identify and understand another person's feelings, then we're empathetic. If we feel sorry for someone or pity them, that is sympathy. Understanding someone's situation without judging is being empathetic. Not understanding someone's situation, but just kind of looking down on them or feeling sorry for them is more sympathy. A lot of people think to be empathetic, I have to have gone through the same thing as you. So for instance, my parents are divorced, so that doesn't mean that someone cannot be empathetic. You know, my friend Patricia can be empathetic and her parents are divorced. But my friend Ashley, her parents are not divorced, but she can still be understanding. She can still put herself in my shoes, right? And I think someone yesterday used an example, and I'll try not to call anybody out, but someone used an example of a friend that was going through something, a friend who is transgender. And even if I'm not transgender, I can still be there and try to be understanding of the challenges that my transgender friend is going through, right? Or I may not have depression, but I can be understanding and open to my husband who struggles with that sometimes. So you may have a similar experience to someone, and that will make you a natural empath. So if you went through something, the same thing as someone else, you may be naturally more understanding of their situation. Where if you don't have any insight into their situation, you may have a greater tendency to be sympathetic or to feel sorry for someone or pity them. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case, though. So if you are a person that's different from your friends and your family, like we all are, if you can have some sort of understanding and acceptance of that person's situation and what they're going through versus pity and sorrow and concern, they're more likely to open up to you and feel supported. Is that a question? Okay, that's fine. If you guys missed today, you'll just have to watch the video I post. And in order to get your PE credit for the yoga, you'll just have to do the reflection, okay? So why cultivate empathy? Empathy is important because it helps us not only understand how others are feeling, but it also helps us to respond appropriately in a situation. What are some ways in which I can be empathetic to my friends, family, peers, and just a stranger? If I'm present, I take more time to listen versus speaking. It allows that person to share their authentic experience and helps me to understand them more. If somebody looks upset or their body language is closed off, generally, if you mirror body language, it does help people to feel more comfortable. So like if we were having a serious conversation and I was up here standing while you were sitting, that may not connect very well. So if you're sitting, maybe I'm sitting alongside you. If you're standing and your arms are crossed at first, maybe I'm a little bit more closed off. trying to meet the person's body language. If they look sad, we try to look sad alongside them. And always asking questions. That way the person feels like we're not judging them and we're honestly wanting to know how we can make things better, how we can support them. Instead of trying to fix someone or fix their problem and just put a quick Band-Aid on it, like it'll be okay or you'll be all right. If we can try to say things like, how can I help? How can I be there for you today? That can be helpful. Examine your own biases. Do you have certain viewpoints that put down the other person that maybe you need to acknowledge? Are you trying to change the person, or are you asking them non-judgmental questions? And instead of trying to provide advice in an aggressive way, like, why haven't you tried this? Or you can't be mad because you haven't done this. Instead, try to think of it as a question. Have you thought about doing this in a different way? Or have you thought about implementing this strategy? Maintaining eye contact can be good. Turning your body towards them so they know that, they say if your heart is kind of facing someone else's heart, you feel more connected. And be comfortable with holding space for them, validating whatever emotional response they're going through. I don't want to tell somebody that they can't feel a sort of way if they're going through something that's really hard. Who am I to say how they should be feeling, right? So here are some basic phrases that convey empathy. Has anybody ever used any of these with a friend going through maybe something hard or difficult? Any of these look familiar to you guys? Maybe a little bit. These are just some examples. This list is extensive. It goes on and on. But saying things like, I'm here for you. I can't imagine what you must be going through right now. My heart hurts for you. Thank you for taking the time to share that with me. You could even say their name because names are powerful. Like, thank you for taking the time to share that with me, Amy. Or thank you for taking the time to say that to me. Thank you for trusting me. That means a lot. If you put their name in there, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm having a hard moment and someone says my name in a polite and nurturing way, it just makes me feel a little more calm, a little more special, and I feel like they're listening, which is helpful. What I'm hearing is you feel fill in the blank. Is this correct? So I could say, like, what I'm hearing is that you feel upset right now. You matter. That can be really good for someone who's going through something and they feel depressed, or if you're worried about them, they may need to know that they're worth, or they might need to know their worth. They might need to know that you see them for all they are. I'm in your corner. Some people just need to know someone's there for them. It makes me sad to hear that happen to you. Instead of justifying it, and I know some people truly believe that there's a reason for everything that happens. If you're one of those people who thinks that and it gets you through your own life, that's your own view. I wouldn't want to tell somebody that's going through something really hard that there's a reason for their pain or their suffering. I don't know that's true. I don't know if that's true. It doesn't matter what your spirituality is or your religion. We want to be really careful with when we tell somebody there's a reason, or even telling someone, don't worry, it'll get better, because we really don't know when it will get better. So letting them know that we're there for them without trying to fix it. If someone's going through something hard, we can say, that sounds really challenging. That must be really difficult for you right now. Sometimes people just need to vent. They may not want to fix. They may not want someone to try to change them. might just need to talk about it and get it out there, right? Has anyone ever tried to fix somebody's problem a little too much and then their friend kind of disconnected? Happens to all of us. It's happened to me. I'm like a teacher, so I want to give them options and choices, and I want to help them. But sometimes they just need to feel what they need to feel. Like if they're upset, scared, lonely, whatnot. I mean, you guys know if you have a mood, some sort of mood because something happened to you, sometimes you just need to have a moment for yourself to process. So being there for our peers, friends, and family is the most important way to show empathy. So you guys are going to work on, there's a few things in here. There is a meditation on here that we might do something similar when we go outside. I might do a compassion meditation. There is a Google sheet that says an empathetic response. So there are a few situations on here, or 10 to 11 situations. Actually, there's 9. So there's 9 pre-made life situations that have happened to these people. And then I gave you 2 examples of what an empathetic response would be. At the bottom, it says, come up with your own situation. I want you to think of 3 situations that you wish someone would have been more empathetic to you. Or maybe a time you wish you would have been more empathetic for a friend. Or just come up with their own situation. So what could be something truly heartbreaking that someone's going through? And then what could be an empathetic way to respond? So I gave you a couple examples at the top, and then you can write your own responses. You can use real world situations that you've actually encountered, or you can create your own. If you need to use the Google Slides, they're right here. The journal, I told you guys I was going to be about the yoga, but it's actually not. We'll do our own yoga reflection tomorrow. But writing about a time that you could have been more empathetic towards someone, what would you have said or did differently? And then write about a time someone was empathetic towards you or someone else, and how would you embody that person, or how would you act like that person if you could? So maybe it's someone you looked up to who's an empath. Maybe it's your life coach has been empathetic and you want to be kind of like them. They're very good at that. Or a friend. And since we're doing our physical activity today in class, we may not get time to do this, but there is an extra enrichment activity if you get time that talks about defining empathy in your own words and what empathy is and is not. And the second page has a bunch of different quotes about empathy and its importance. And then it is very similar to the journal. Write about a time when you showed empathy and or had empathy shown to you. So it's very similar. 3 things I learned about this topic of empathy, questions I still have, and 1 new thing I'd like to try. And that's what you're going to work on. So just let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help.